Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan, and we're going to be breaking down the Challenge Double Agents episode 17. I am joined by my lovely co-hosts. We got the Canadian Nikki Sin.
Hello.
And the Virginian Luke Muncie.
What's up, guys?
This episode of the Challenge was far better than last week's episode, but that's not saying much considering the low bar they had to pass. I think one of the big differences this week is that we can see the final in sight, and it's almost like when you're running home and you could see it and you're just going to sprint as fast as you can because it's almost over.
Yeah, and I feel like we got a little bit more than we've got the past 2 weeks. When I first was like, a 90-minute episode after an hour last week, I was like, this is going to drag on. But it was pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like the content that was provided in that time frame was content that I enjoy. Lots of Cam Roy. Definitely into that. I want Cam all over my screens all the time.
With the challenge, it often feels like, they're 3 to 4 days being experienced, like a 72-hour thing, and often so much is edited out that we don't see. This episode felt like the opposite. I felt like I was there with them every step of the moment, from like the way the daily challenge played out to how people reacted. Like, oh, could we do this for the vote? Could we do that for the vote? And it was it was the closest to a 24/7 episode of the challenge that I've ever felt like we've gotten.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like if we might have had different players at this stage in the game that brought maybe more drama, there were some maybe enemies mixed in there, we might have had some different plot points, but this is probably all they could give us.
We still ate pretty good, I'd like to say.
It's the best possible thing they could have gave us was a C+, and after the F that we got last week, I'll take that C+ any day of the week.
Give me that mediocre content.
Say C's get degrees, and for the sake of the challenge, they'll probably break 1 million viewers this time or whatever the number is. Yeah.
C's got me 2 degrees.
Exactly.
The viewership of this season still remains pretty damn high. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. They're killing $2 billion, $1 million wrestling shows in the key demographics. It's bewildering. The challenge is killing it more than ever with a boring season. And it's great to see if you're a challenge fan, because that means the show's going to be going on for a long time. The only question is, why aren't we getting more?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I remember when the last season came out, people were like, oh, it's just a fluke because of the pandemic. In a lot of places, not that the pandemic's over, it's still very much alive and real, but people are breaking out of their cells a little bit, getting vaccinated. But yeah, the numbers keep going up. But I think they can attribute to all the advertisements they do. I have so many friends that are casual watchers that never had even heard of it last season. So the challenge is doing something right.
Yeah, and I think that because they're putting a lot of older seasons on other networks, so on Paramount Plus, and if you're Canadian, you can watch it on Global's website or CTV's website. And I know that because CTV and Global seem to have an affiliation with the challenge, Big Brother Canada on Wednesday nights is on at 7 p.m., followed by the challenge at 8 on a different channel. So I think that they're doing that really well.
Yeah, that's very smart. And they even put 2 seasons on Netflix, which I saw some of my friends post them on their Snapchat stories what is this? But them even saying that, I'm like, the exposure is crazy.
There's also this element to the show as well where I think we understate the idea of because we've seen almost every challenge season that we see this season and this is bad. If Double Agents is your first season, because the challenge as a whole is such a good reality television show where the worst challenge season is better than the worst Survivor or Big Brother season, in my opinion. And if they're watching it for the first time, I like this. And then if they go back and watch old seasons, man, I really like the challenge now. I know one of my best friend's sister is a big challenge fan now. And I've been blogging about it for years, but now she's into the challenge.
Yeah, my brother is super into it now. He's watching Final Reckoning. He's like, oh my God, this is so messy. It's so good. I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you. I've been your sister my whole life. The show is all that I've talked about since 2010.
It's really smart.
Welcome to the fandom, everyone.
Yes.
I mean, she's really getting into it because she even threw hate tweets at Lolo Jones this week. So she's into it. That she's a real fan now. That's when you know you're a fan.
When you hate Lolo Jones, Lolo was talking just a lot of trash.
And to add to what Allan said about, because I'm going to add to what both you guys just said, Lolo's tweet, if you didn't see it, Ashley Mitchell had tweeted that, hey, after All-Stars, it's pretty apparent that we need entertainers more than professional athletes. Didn't that Lolo was just making a statement to be like, hey, quit bringing in all these brolic people. Like, we can bring the entertainment. Lolo got butthurt. But yeah, I guess if this were your first season watching, as far as the characters go, they would seem dynamic. But if you go back and watch Final Reckoning, like Nikki's brother is, you'd be like, wait a second, we can have a much better cast than this.
Oh, and it's so messy. My thing with Lolo is that the point that she tried to make was she's like, oh, like the entertainers, you don't really like amount to anything from the challenge. But it's like, isn't Paulie an Olympic athlete now? Is he not on the American bobsled team?
He's on the American bobsled team, confirmed. But yeah.
Lolo, what do you do?
She's on the female American bobsled team. It's like, okay, Lolo, so where's your correlation here? Yeah.
To me, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously people have used the challenge into stepping stones for so many different things. And it's a great, starting point, especially because you get a following, you get a good appearance check. And there's so many talented people who've just used it as a springboard, whether they were on it for one season or many seasons. It's weird for her to say that. And it's like, oh, after the challenge, you're done. It's like, Lolo, does that mean you're done now? Does that mean because you've been on the challenge now that you've hit that point in your career that you're done? That's what I tweeted. It's like, please, you promise?
Right.
She was just getting ended left and right by people. Kendall just said no words and just kept showing images of different past challengers that have made a career out of it.
We got mainstream actress Jamie Chung, Senator, Sean Duffy, WWE champion Mike the Miz Mizanin, Beta Blocks owner and dog owner Westberg. It's just all these people who've gone on to do things.
Dario
has his own mortgage leasing company now.
Hey, it's true. Yeah, I think it's good networking, You go in for a job interview, hey, I was on the challenge, or stepping stone. So yeah, screw you, Lolo.
Yeah.
Now let's
get all the way up.
Let's get back into the episode. Let's jump into the daily challenge portion. Moving into the daily challenge, we open with TJ waking up all the players in the house at 5 a.m. He brings them to a discreet location, takes people's partners. So Kyle, Fessy, Corey, and Leroy all get taken in the middle of the night, and they are chained up. It is very unnecessary because you could have done this anyway without waking them up at 5 a.m. and just taking them with everyone else. But just for the dramatics of it, they hide them underneath the cave. When the women and CT get to the challenge, they find out that they will be running 5 miles, solving some math problems, and freeing their partner. Once their partner's freed, them and their partner will then run to a final location where they will solve a puzzle. And yeah, that was the challenge. It was another mini final, and I'm glad that all the males and all the females separated, so that way it felt like it was even competition.
I agree. If we would have had maybe Leroy running against Amber B, who, as we know, didn't even make it past the first checkpoint, he would have had a huge advantage. I did find it interesting that it was all the females, especially considering the guys were having heavy discussions about who to run the final with, because it didn't look so good for some of them, or one of them.
I thought it was a weird choice because normally with these sorts of challenges that they do, somebody's buried or locked up in something, and if Fessy is such a great competitor and great athlete, I don't understand why he wouldn't be like, hey, Amber B, you go in there. He seemed to make the decision without any input from her. Forgot she was on their team.
He's an introvert.
He is an introvert.
I think that's going to be my excuse for everything he does. But I agree. I think there was maybe some scheming going on when maybe two girls okay, we're going to stay. The other girl's okay, we will too. But you're right. They've seen these types of challenges where TJ takes people, or at least I hope they have. Go do something. Do something with your time, Fessy.
I just think when you see the other 3 men also being taken, you're like, well, I guess I'm also being taken. I think, because if I have to go, I don't want my girl to have to go against 3 guys potentially.
And that's fair.
Cam kills this, just the whole way through.
Yep.
She gets the math done. She gets the running done. There's no problem for Cam. She kills it. And then there's just a big gap because Cam is good with numbers. She's good with math. She's got her business degree. She's got her master's. She's got that down. And so it came down to Nany and Casey of who is the second best math person. And Nany's like, hey, I'm not that bad at math. And like, I love Nany. And I was like, are you though? Are you just better than Casey? And I feel like that was like the bar. It was like, it's like this week's episode. Like, are you better than last week's episode? Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I do love Nany as well, as I know both you guys do. I was happy, though, that she made it to the ice volcano before Casey. Because I feel like she is often, underappreciated, undervalued, and she's a good player.
She is, and that was like a long run. I also just would like to throw in, I thought there was like more than one checkpoint. So when TJ was explaining, he's like, oh, with like, various checkpoints. I was like, okay, so it's probably gonna be like math and then like a puzzle and then they'll get to like the volcano and then they'll have another checkpoint and then the puzzle. But it was just sort of that one math problem that Amber just...
There were two math problems. There were two. Amber didn't get past the first. Yeah, Amber didn't get past the first one.
It probably felt like one just because we kept panning back to Amber sitting there like, I'm going to cry. Can I do 9 times 7? That's 56. Carry the 3. Okay. Yeah. Because it felt like they edited it back and forth so much that it was just Amber sitting there clueless.
Plus, Cam got done with the second one so fast that like you didn't even like think that there was like a second checkpoint because no one was with her at the second checkpoint, and then Nany and Casey were somewhere. I mean, it was clear that Casey was outrunning Nany by a pretty significant pace, and that Nany was beating her on the math by a decent portion. Casey actually passes her up after they secure their partners with Leroy and Kyle. And I mean, Kyle was just over the moon that Nany was in second because like his life was on the line in this challenge. He's like, yeah, go Nany. Like you're giving it your all when my life is on the line. Like you are a great partner. Corey is just like, I got a golden ticket because Cam is killing it. And Leroy is like, what's going on? Like Leroy, who is like best friends with Nany, was like, Casey, you're losing to Nany? What's going on?
Which, a bit mean, a bit rude, that one.
Right. I did think it was cool, though, because those little pit stops, and there might have been more that we just didn't see, but they totally act as equalizers. And it just goes to show that in the final, you might have somebody that's totally domineering, but if they get stuck on a puzzle, they're done for. Because arguably, I feel like Amber B probably has great cardio. There's one Amber B compliment. But if you can't get the math problem correct, you can't get to the ice volcano first. So I like the
Was she surprised there was math? I feel like people get on there and they're like, we have to do math? Oh my God, there's a puzzle here? Like, did you think it was just, an 18-episode push-up contest?
Right. Like, prepare to eat in the final. Like, yeah. Like, some of these things are happening.
They're like, hall brawl? What? I thought it was just 18 hall brawls.
Right.
I'm just so frustrated by Amber's existence on this show. I really am, because she doesn't bring any charisma, any drive. It just she's been spoon-fed this game, and I think other more deserving people, maybe should be here. I was talking about it with a friend right now, and like Annalise Talavera, who was an alternate for the season, was almost on the season, got dropped last minute. Do we believe that she would be in Amber's spot right now because she was a D1 college athlete and would have had this Big Brother alliance? Like, would she be in the spot to make the final instead? Like,
I would say yes, and I would argue that Annalise probably got dropped for Amber. Like, they feel like they fit the same type of like girl, like like slender, athletic. Like, I feel like Annalise, whatever her name is. And she probably would have been more successful. Maybe not at this challenge because like the girl's kind of dumb, but she probably would have been able to like work better friendships in the house too. Like I would have rather seen her as opposed to Amber B.
I'm just happy that Amber B got a chance on the challenge because I think she was just like, she had such a bad Big Brother experience. Like with Caleb. Yeah. Caleb was just like, well, she doesn't want to bang me, so...
I agree with you before this season happened, and then this season happened, and she's shown me no reason to be like, I feel remorse for her Big Brother experience, and I think she would be better at Big Brother, the game itself, but she's just not meant for the challenge. I don't care if she's going to the final. I don't think she's meant for it. Annalise is 10 years younger, or 9 years younger, and like, I'm saying D1 scholarship athlete. That's that would be a menace in the challenge. And soccer and cardio for a final, she'd be good. She would be good.
She could Casey a run for her money, maybe.
It depends on the final, I think, but I so agree. Yeah. Casey's definitely beatable, and that's why I kind of don't hate Casey. Like, she's a strong girl, but she's beatable.
Yeah.
Though I will say, like, she did make up for it in the run. Like, she was catching Nany, and so she's still great. I think when it comes to, like, pace, if Casey gets the right partner and, you know, can just outpace people, then maybe her puzzle definitely, because she's not like a zero in puzzles. She's just not strong in them.
Well, you just think about it. If Casey ended up with CT in a final, it'd be like, okay, no brainer. Like, CT's got this skill, she's got this skill set. Yeah, partner seasons, it's pretty much the luck of the draw of who you get or who you end up with.
I sort of wasn't anticipating that Casey was going to do very well in this challenge as soon as I heard that there was a math problem. Not that I think that she's not good at math, but I remembered specifically back to the overnight challenge they did when they had that one math problem and Leroy is talking to Cam and Cam solving the math problem for them.
Yeah, and even last season in the final when it was literally just her and Jenny West left and like the math problem just killed her.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was like the pressure, you know, like maybe Amber's not that terrible at math. Maybe Casey's not that terrible at math. But the pressure of like, you know, having
It's intense. It's very intense.
Not that I could solve these.
I can tell you, Cam is good at math. Not a lot of people on these shows are good at math. It's pretty clear when someone is. It's like you either have it or you don't. There's two types of people. Like, you either stopped math when you got to like the lowest level to graduate, or you took calculus. It's just like we diverge into two like fields, and you're either one or the other. And
I got a math tattoo for the credit, so.
I wrote a 12-page paper on like some statistic theory to get an A in my statistics class in college. I'm an English major, so I was like, hell, I can do that.
As you mentioned, Cam kills it. I mean, like, no team even gets to the final puzzle portion by the time they feel like Kyle and Nany get there, and then they're done. And so they win. Corey's like, this is my first win of the season. He did nothing except follow Cam, which is like all you need to do. And he's cheesing. He's happy. He's going to the final with a golden ticket, and they're a great team together.
Yeah, and I think what shows how good of a partnership they are, if you remember back when Cam and CT were partners, they both wanted to get in on that puzzle. Cam says to Corey, thanks for your idea, but let me do my thing. And as soon as he steps back, she totally kills it. He was like, hey, if that's how we're going to do this, that's how we're going to do it.
He respected that she took the initiative to be like, listen, I'm not like, she obviously wasn't like downplaying Corey's skills with puzzles. Mm-hmm. I mean, he does it a little bit himself anyway, so it's okay. Or his photographic memory.
Right.
However, Cam was just kind of like, let me just like, can you just lay the pieces out for me? And I'll just do it. It's kind of like me cooking dinner. I'm like, can you just let me?
Yeah. I thought it was great. I'm really excited for them as a pair.
Yeah. I really think that given Killa Cam's like entire resume throughout the challenge, that she needs to be the face of the show. For me, she is the face of the show.
Hey, I agree.
I think going forward, I kind of disagree a little bit. I mean, I am cheering for Leroy and Cam wholeheartedly, 110%. I want to see them win because they deserve it. They're playing great games, but they attack conflict in such a mature way that is not conducive to messy reality television. And because of that, like, I want someone who will stir the pot. You know, I want, you know, Ashley Mitchell. She does that type of stuff, you know? It's like she doesn't stay long enough for seasons like that, like Cam and Leroy do, but they kind of have a boring dominance to them.
I actually saw something about that the other day, and I'm going to disagree with Nikki and now agree with Allan. Sorry, I'm back and forth. But you're right. I mean, Cam's last two showings, she made we know she makes the final in this episode. She makes the final, and she had a pretty easy ride doing it because she knows how to dominate a game and she knows how to work those connections. The reason that the show is kind of boring right now is because Cam and Leroy kept their alliances and their friends. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing that they've done. That's what people envy. But we're the ones that suffer as viewers. And while I'm like both y'all, I'm rooting for Cam and Leroy, one of them please win. I might need to see more of a season like Vendettas or Final Reckoning that Cam was on, where she was kind of had her back up against the wall, thrown into many eliminations, and she persevered. Because no matter if she's dominating the season strategically, socially, politically, or if she's having to dominate those eliminations, she does it. But yeah, she's kind of being, or she's not being boring. She's making the show boring by having a really good game. It's like a double-edged sword.
Maybe it's a case where like, I don't know how much hate or love I'm going to get for this one, but I think that seasons that Jenna is on are more entertaining when Zach isn't there. Do you think that maybe if it was just Cam and not Leroy on there? There's no hate towards Leroy. This is definitely hate towards Zach, though.
No, I agree, because I think, too, that whenever your significant other's on there, it's a built-in number already, and it's different than having a best friend or someone from your season of your show, because they can flip on you. A significant other's not going to flip on you. It'd be great TV, but Leroy's not going to flip on Cam. She's not going to flip on him. And not that she would be crazy and promiscuous if he weren't there, but, you know, she might have to, like, make more friendships or new friendships and have to politic in different ways.
A friend asked me, it's like, well, why don't Cam and Leroy try to run the final together? And I'm like, well, they live together. So why would you not have two shots at $500,000? I'm like, it just... But, like, that kind of ruins the game in a certain way because they're not going to turn against each other. They're going to set up themselves to, you know, try to win rather than a cutthroat type game. And it's frustrating a little bit, but also, like, I love them and I'll give them a pass because they are amazing human beings. But I just want all the mess possible.
Right. And I think that Cam, to be the face of the show, would have to be more of a consistent player. And hear me out. In the fact that she'd have to do many back-to-back seasons. And I just feel like she has lots of different business ventures and she's moved to Texas with Leroy. I just can't see her doing like a span of 5 seasons in a row.
She did do 5 of 6 in a row.
That's fair, but I guess
she took one off
last season. Yeah, that's true. I guess I'd need to see her on the next like 2 seasons. But then again, she was a face this season. They used her for promo.
As they should.
I agree with that.
She also had a very good line in this episode when TJ was like taking them away. She's like, Corey's gonna have to go. I don't have my wig on yet.
She's so funny.
Must be hung up with CTs.
Right.
So what do you guys grade the daily challenge portion?
I'm going to give it a 9 because I genuinely liked it, and I like seeing obstacles that maybe help or hinder someone. I love seeing Amber B do poorly. And I love when Cam comes out on top. And Corey, because I used to be a closeted Corey stan, but I'm a Corey stan.
Ryder's dad.
Ryder's dad, yeah.
He's Corey now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it an 8, but the only reason it's losing that 9 grade from me is because I didn't realize they were doing other checkpoints because I was more interested in my Chipotle. So just the guac though.
Fair.
I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I think it was a mini final for the women, and just getting to watch all 4 of them compete against one another was cool because it is a glimpse of what we're going to see in the future. Good performance by Nani, good performance by Cam, disappointing performance by Casey, and Amber B. She's still out there doing the math right now as we speak.
Wah, 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 wah.
She's the worst.
She performed at a level that I don't know if she could have got it done with the calculator.
Right. Imagine if TJ would have been like, you've got to finish the daily in order to move on. The season would have never ended.
Oh, yeah, legend has it she's still there now.
Moving into the strategy portion, and we saw a lot of strategy in this episode as Leroy, Kyle, and Fessy were kind of scrambling to figure out what should happen for the elimination. Fessy was like, hey, I haven't worked with Kyle all game. He hates me. But let's get Leroy thrown into elimination so that way it maybe saves one of us. Leroy just does not want to go into elimination at all. He is terrified of losing his shot at the final with the red around the corner. But there is also the subplot of if Leroy does not go into elimination, then Casey is eligible to be stolen, and him and Casey have been on a roll the whole game. So there's all these different game plans going on. What did you guys think?
Nikki, you can go first.
Oh boy. Here's my thing. We know I'm gonna like crap on Fessy because I'm here for it. It's my main hobby, my job. He he talks so much crap about how he's like, oh, I can take anyone in elimination. So take anyone. So go in there. Why don't you show us? You're like, oh, Amber B has to earn her stripe. Okay, so let's see you do it. You've only done one season other than this. One other season. You're so confident you could take Kyle out in anything. You're so confident that you're like better than CT. Go in there. And also, I think it's real shady of Casey to just be like, yeah, like I would definitely like to get stolen. I want to run the final with Fessy. Have you not seen how he treats his other partners? If you can even call them that at this point.
I agree.
Big man.
Here was my takeaway, and it might be very unpopular, and I'm only going to reference Survivor at one time, so don't worry. But it's kind of like whenever you get down to the final tribal council and like you've not played that great of a game, you pretty much have to volunteer yourself to make fire to be out like in the contention to win the season. As much as I understand Leroy's not wanting to go in, he knows that he's going to lose Casey and he'll end up with Nany or Amber B. I love Nany, but she's not as strong of a competitor in a final as I would assume that Casey's going to be. At what point do you say, okay, make me the house vote and ask Cam to put in Kyle? Like, as Leroy, I'd think I can probably beat Kyle in just about anything, and production will probably cater to me. He can stay with Casey. It'll make Fessy either be with Amber B or Nany, and the other girl ends up with CT. It raises his odds exponentially. Whereas if he gets rid of Casey, he's going to be with Amber B or Nany, who, again, I love Nany. I'm not hating on her, but she's not the strongest girl there. She's not the second strongest girl there.
I agree. And I wrote the article with like, people should volunteer for the final elimination, because if you're trying to win the game and the goal is to win the game, you should try and get the partner that you can run the final with. And a lot of people commented like, why would you do that? Why would you not immediately just take your shot at the final? It's not like the old days where you would get like half the money for coming in second or third place. Like you get like nothing most of these days if you don't win. And Leroy, like you've played your whole challenge career not winning because you made safe moves, because you just tried to coast to the end, and you played this dominant game with Casey. I know it would suck to go out on your last season coming in 5th place and losing the final elimination, but if your goal is to win, you got to put everything out on the field. And I think there's like I was talking about it with a friend. Wes and Jordan make moves that are crazy that no one else would do, but they dramatically increase their chances of winning. Because you think of Wes's elimination last season with Bananas on Total Madness. If he wins that, is anyone beating him in the final? Not Fessy, not Corey, not Kyle. They're not beating him. They're not beating him in the snow with that math stuff. And it was a risk that he took and he lost, but it's a risk you have to take if you want to win. Jordan risked on himself in War of the Worlds 2 to switch teams with Tori, and he worked out big.
He won, and you're right. That's the difference. Wes and Jordan are champions because they made those big moves. And I just found it really disappointing considering that's been like Leroy's plot the entire season, is that like, it's my last season. I want to win. It's my last season. Then make it more possible to win. It was really disheartening.
I would have been like, I think if I were in Leroy's shoes, if I had chosen to like volunteer to go in, I would have been like, listen, here's why I'm volunteering. Here's my pitch. One of my main points I would have been like, okay, so Casey, it's pretty obvious you don't want to be my partner anymore. You want to switch over to Fessy. Guess what you're not going to get from this? It's Fessy
right,
as your
I'm going to
partner.
make you win with me.
Yeah, because you're not going to want to throw the final, no matter how much you hate your partner that you're with.
And that would have been an easy swaying for Fessy and Kyle. They both would have been like, okay, that levels our chances.
I think Kyle would have been fine going up against Leroy.
Yeah, I compared to Fessy because of the size difference. I mean, he's a little bit more comparable to Leroy. What I want to say though is that they did make a good last minute kind of deal with Kyle, where Leroy realizes like, wait a minute, if Cam volunteers herself and throws Corey down there, and we vote in Fessy, then even if Fessy steals Casey, Leroy would run the final with Cam in that scenario. And then Kyle would run the final with Nany, and then CT would run it with Amber B. And that would be a great scenario because if you can get Cam or Casey, you're winning. And you keep yourself safe. You don't have to go into that final elimination.
Yeah, I feel like I thought it was a great idea. And like, if they had maybe explained it better, because I wasn't even thinking of Leroy ending up with Cam, and I don't think he said that to her either, but he could have been like, listen, just as you said. But that also would have been absolutely heartbreaking for Corey to be standing up there feeling safe and then to be thrust into a moment of like, oh my gosh. Because he would lose to Fessy. I'm sorry. I just don't think he would beat Fessy.
He would also lose given the fact that he would have been blindsided by it. So like he obviously wasn't like prepared, didn't have his mustard prepared like Joseph. Like he wouldn't or Josh or John or whatever his name was. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I think that he would have gone down there and just been like, oh no. It would have been very much like Ashley episode 1, not expecting to go down there and just.
You could tell with Cam, she as a human being could not put Corey down there once he was like, yeah, I'm so happy that we're gonna run the file together. We're gonna we're gonna play this together. We're gonna win it together. We're gonna do this for our families. You and Leroy, me and Ryder. We got this. 500,000 for each of us. And she's just like, I can't do this to this guy anymore. And that's gonna kill her. I mean, that's a moment where if Cam had done that, that's a face of the challenge moment.
I agree. I think we should also recognize too that Cam was on the same season of Are You the One as Taylor, Corey's baby mama, and they've maintained a friendship since the show ended. I know Taylor's had her like incidents, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But like Cam is still friends with her, that would be a huge slap in the face. But you're right, Allan. Like if she was like, you know what, I want to run this with my future husband and I want to win this with him. And that scenario went down where Fessy took Casey. Leroy's like, I'm automatically get to be with Cam because of this. Huge, monumental.
No, I absolutely agree. I was just sort of bewildered. Like in my head, I started thinking about how they could have orchestrated it so Cam volunteered to go down, but the House vote ended up being Kyle. Because Corey could have taken out Kyle.
That's true. If that scenario would have happened, Corey could have had a like built-in rival for any type of season that even follows that type of theme, and that's a pretty good setup.
Yeah.
It would be, I mean, like, people would love Corey so much in that moment. He would, because, like, it would just be, he would get blindsided in such a way that people would be like, Corey's a good guy. He's a father. He cares about his kids. And Cam would get a villain edit in that moment, but it would make so much waves. It would be an all-time challenge moment if it happened. Moving into the elimination portion, production got lazy. They're like, we don't want to build another elimination. Like, just keep Paul Brawl up there. And it's ridiculous. Like, come on. You know Fessy's going into elimination. Why would you give him the same eliminations already played? Like, we already did it with Amber once this season. Like twice. And now Fessy gets to do it twice. It's ridiculous.
Again.
And it's a best of 5. So, like, when it's a best of 5, you know that the bigger opponent is just going to wear the smaller person down regardless.
It was clearly tailored to Fessy, and I don't know what the justification would be to be like, let's make sure that Fessy wins this. Are we trying to force him as a face? He can't even write his own first name.
I hope we're not.
I would have liked to have seen them play, like, I forget what they called it, Allan would know, but like where they hang and have to, like, kick their legs and their arms, like
Operation Fire Escape. I've been calling it Hog Tie all season, but then they played it 3 times, so I had to learn the name.
I feel like that would have been more equal, I guess, because Fessy's a strong dude, but Kyle's a smaller dude. Like, those are 2 strengths that maybe, like, Hall Brawl seriously against Kyle, who's the smallest guy left in the house.
Yeah, Kyle's also smaller now than he was on World of Worlds 1. He's like on World of Worlds 1, he was probably like 205. Now he's probably down like 180. His legs looking real tiny. His legs were looking real tiny before they started. Yeah, it was not good.
I would have liked to have seen, of course I can't remember the name of it, where they have that wall and they have to like break their way through it to climb to the top. Because I think that would have been an evenly matched thing. Because Fessy's like stronger, like physically, but like Kyle's got the length.
And he's nimble. Yeah.
Plus, he's punched stuff because he's from the UK and they fight there, where instead of Fessy, who like
they do.
You know, they don't.
Fessy will be in a boxing match this summer.
That's
Big
true.
Brother US versus Big Brother Canada. That's a real thing.
Wow. I forgot about that. I thought that was fake when it came out, and okay. Moving on though, back to the elimination, the hall brawl itself. First round gets going, and Kyle's been in a hall brawl before. What he underrated was Fessy's speed, and I think Corey even said it perfectly because Kyle was getting low, but Fessy was already past the halfway point when he made contact with Kyle, and Kyle was not anticipating to get hit in that moment. He just gets toppled over like nothing. Fessy walks over him and then literally walks to the buzzer in the most cocky way possible. He thought he looked really cool. He did a little bit, honestly.
No, he did not.
No,
he was wrong. Somebody lied to him. He is nothing of the sort.
I will say to have such an impact, quite literally, that he knocked Kyle all the way back to the entrance. He could have let Kyle stand up and run, and Fessy still could have walked. Yeah, it was cocky, but it was also like, hey, you can't beat me in a physical elimination, which sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks volumes about Nelson, because Nelson was in there fighting, and Nelson is smaller than Kyle, and it's just crazy to think about because Kyle's been in a good hall brawl for him, and Theo was a great hall brawl 2 seasons ago, and he just got demolished here.
I like that TJ even remembered how dirty Fessy played last time, because he made note to be like, let's have some clean play this time, and I don't know if Fessy heard him.
Yeah, he really was really dirty against Nelson, which was sad. But I don't know. After the first round, though, it was pretty clear. And then when Kyle pops up with the bent finger,
oh boy,
yeah, and that wasn't Fessy's fault. I mean, that was just that's usually when your hand hits like the knee pad or something, or someone's like bone. That's how you break a finger. It's never, if you want to like stomp on someone's finger like karate style or something like that, then that's another way. But that was just accidental impact.
Right. And the reason I brought it up though is because when he came out and his finger was like that, I was like, Kyle, use this. Just stop. Because Fessy would have killed him if given the opportunity.
Yeah, now I get a tweet like, "Oh, we all know Kyle would have won if he didn't break his finger." I get
No, I do admire Kyle for being like, I can still play. But it's like, dude, you're sitting there wailing over your finger, which I'm sure is painful. We talked before this, like how painful it is to break your finger versus your hand. Just take a bow. You're not going to beat Fessy in 3 rounds of hall brawl. He's already got you on 1.
Just bow out like that. I'd like to also note, this is not the first break in an elimination that Fessy has been a part of.
Oh yeah, Jordan.
I don't know if I'd want to see him at elimination at this point. Be like, I mean, not that I would, and like in the first place, but I'd be like, I don't want my bones to get broken. He broke Jordan's healthier arm.
Or dislocated, yeah. Fessy has that really big advantage. We were talking a little bit earlier about Annalise Talavera, about how she's, D1 soccer player, could probably dominate the show in certain ways. Fessy, as a successful football player who had to end that career because of an injury, what a skill set you have for a hall brawl. You know exactly how to attack people. You've got the strength, you've got the size, you've got the past experience. Kyle's probably... That's true. He does have the speed.
It's one thing when you're not only the biggest guy in the house, but you're also the fastest guy in the house, and that's, that's scary. Because you think like, oh well, this guy's bigger, this guy's smaller, he could run around him. It's like, no, he's gonna chase you down and eat you. And as much as we hate on Fessy, this type of stuff he's good at. It's just
It's impressive.
If I was in the stands, I would not have gotten comfortable. I would have walked in, seen a hall brawl, been like, okay, so it's Fessy versus somebody. I'm not even going to unzip my coat a little bit. We're not going to be here for long.
Give me my flights back home.
Yeah.
I think there are rules to the, hall brawl, like, don't play dirty. But if I was Kyle, I would just baseball slide into Fessy's shin and just try and, like, literally shatter his shin, because, like, that's the only way you're going to win, because I don't see any other way around it.
Like, and sometimes I'm like, maybe jump over. Fessy's such a huge dude. There'd be no way to do that. Like maybe like dive and leap over. I don't know.
Is it illegal to try and kick someone in the face? Is it?
Fessy did it against Nelson, so.
Yeah, he did. You're right. I would. I'm talking like you jump and kick him in the face as you're running at him.
I don't know, but Kyle should have tried and found out.
That's when you got to get experimental.
Yeah, I also think that if Nani had just chosen CT as a partner, now we already agreed, but a CT and Fessy Hallbrawl would have been a nice bookend to their like rivalry this season.
Yeah, heavy on the quotation mark rivalry.
Yeah, you can't hear my air quotations, but they're there.
Right.
Based on the preview for next week, it looks like we might be getting a little bit of that. Elimination portion, though, I'm gonna give it a 0 out of 10 because we just saw one man hurt the other man.
I'm gonna give it a 2, only because we did get that little moment of Kyle feeling betrayed, which honestly, he has every right to feel betrayed. They did make a promise to him. I love Cam and Leroy, smart on their part, but they didn't have to do it and they didn't know it in the moment. But I did feel bad for Kyle, and I admired him wanting to go back in. And I was glad that TJ didn't call him a quitter. He was like, Kyle, you've been really dominant in this game before. Today just clearly was not going to be your day, regardless what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 1. Just right in the middle there. I think that although it definitely wasn't set up for Kyle to win, I'm sorry. I'm not a Fessy fan, but this particular elimination with the matchup that was set up was like made for him. Like I don't see a simulation where he doesn't win in this particular one. But only a 1 because I never thought I'd say it. I'm sick of seeing hall brawls.
Yeah, we really like the only way Kyle wins this is if Fessy tears something on his initial like run, and like it just goes down. Like he ruptures his ACL as he takes off and then just crumbles to the ground. That would be the win scenario for Kyle, which is not saying much. Yeah, and let's talk about, let's move into the final itself. Let's project going forward as we have some new partnerships and we know who is going to the final now.
Finally.
And projecting towards the final, we know our pairs. Fessy has taken Casey, and they will be running the final together. They were on the same Big Brother season, and after all this time, they're aligned. They've been running this game together. They are going to run the final. I think Casey's had the best season out of anyone thus far, even better than Cam because she's been on the right side of every vote. One more daily challenges. But they're 1A and 1B.
Right. I think too there's a good thing about familiarity, and like Allan said, they're on the same Big Brother season. They debuted on the challenge together. They hang out in real life. I can't blame her for being happy about being with Fessy. I mean, I wanted her to stay with Leroy, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that at this point now, except for CT and Amber, everybody sort of has some sort of connection to their partner, like outside of this game. So, like Luke had said earlier, Corey is dating, and has a child with one of Cam's really good friends from her season of Already the One, Taylor. And then you look at like Nani and Leroy, they started on MTV together 10 years ago. And then we got like Fessy and Casey, who, they did their Big Brother season together, and then they did their first challenge season together and their second one. And then
CT and Amber,
then there's Maud.
They did Road Rules Campus Crawl together. They were in that RV.
I missed that episode.
Shoot. See, I thought they were in Are You the One together.
Weren't they on Battle of the Clones or Dating Clones?
They were both. So they were actually both on Road Rules Campus Crawl and Are You the One? Come All.
Oh, and
right.
And weren't they on Big Brother UK?
No. That was Big Brother UK Canada edition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've got some past together.
They go way back.
Didn't they date for 7 years?
Yeah.
No, that was Amber and Darrell.
Oh, gotcha. She thinks.
She even mentioned him. She was like, I really wanted to be running this with Darrell. Man.
Yeah.
He's at home already.
with his wife.
He's been gone for a couple weeks now. It's not like the Band-Aid's been ripped off, bro.
He was probably already filming All Stars by then.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But with familiarity though, I guess like Casey and Fessy are strong even without that familiarity. So I do think they're somebody to look out for.
They can win the final by like even if they're not the best in the puzzles, because I think Fessy is good with puzzles. Casey's adequate. If they can just outpace everyone and just like outrun them to the point of like the puzzle difference is minimized, it's okay. Because I mean, Jordan has shown people like if you just out sprint someone in a final to a point where they can't catch up, nothing else matters.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, to touch on what I said earlier, if Fessy and Casey put their like giant heads together and they're like, listen, if we implement a Big Brother strategy into this final, we could do really well. So if you just imagine that every like checkpoint or anything to do with like a puzzle or a math thing, just pretend it's a HOH competition, pretend it's a veto competition. You know, kind of put your head in the mind space that like that's what you're focusing on. That's like the one task you have to focus on then, and then just out sprint everybody.
Yep, for sure.
Leroy and Nany, I feel not confident about. I think they're not going to come in last place, but I don't think they complement each other. I think they'll have fun running the final together. I don't think they're going to put like they're not going to have a bad time running the final. It's just they both have this idea of like, hey, slow and steady wins the race, and that's not how finals work. You got to beat people in portions. You got to dominate certain checkpoints to the point of like you have massive differences. Their best chance of winning a final is other people like quitting or DQing. That's like their best chance right now.
And I've talked with friends before, and we've always felt like Nany performs really well with a partner. And I feel the same way. However, because she has known Leroy for so long, because he's never going to hate her, he's never going to, disown her, there might be that level of like, yeah, this is going to be fun, but like if I screw this up, he's not going to hate me. He's not going to kill me. Plus, like, I know it's Leroy's last season. He wants to win, but these aren't going to be partners that challenge one another. He's also going to be like, oh, well, if Cam's doing well, that's a good thing for me too. It might give him that mindset to be able to slack off a little bit. So I can't see them winning. I can see them running a great final, but not winning.
I'm wondering if, because Leroy revealed in this episode when he had his little #CamRoy moment in the hot tub, I'm wondering if he's going to reveal to Nany. He's like, listen, I know we're running this final together, so I think it's important for me to tell you that I'm looking to retire. This is going to be my last season. I think that could possibly give Nany the drive that they need. Not that she doesn't have any drive.
Right.
But like the added foot on the gas pedal,
I will say, though, something that happened last Thursday really has minimized Leroy's retirement, because I imagine him being like, all right, guys, I'm retired. And then season 2, episode 1 of Challenge All-Stars. It's like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm Leroy. You might remember me from, and
from such things as retiring.
And, he's like older than Nehemiah right now, I think. So, he could easily jump onto that franchise. So it's not as bad of a goodbye as it was before, because I can imagine Leroy just being a mainstay on the All-Star circuit now.
Right, and win like 2 of them in a row and be like, huh, well, I couldn't have done this on the normal one. But yeah.
I would prefer Leroy on All-Stars to like Johnny or Wes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Wes would perform pretty well on like an OG season like that. I don't need more Johnny.
I actually think Wes would do better on the main seasons, because he would try to make the All-Star seasons into like a political game, and the people who are there just to drink are like, bro, we're here to drink. We're going to throw you into elimination because we're here to drink. Stop trying to make the game politics. Yeah. Sidebar onto All-Stars. I did find it funny that 32-year-old Jemmye was finally like, yeah, I'm here to compete. It's like, now that you're in the senior division as a 32-year-old, you're like ready to dominate.
Right.
32, the senior division.
Challenge All-Stars is the
30.
Senior division. If there's a senior and a junior division, that is the senior division.
Nikki just had a birthday, in case you're curious, and she might be having a time coming to grips with her age. Not to put on blast. You can guess her age in the comments if you're still with us at this point.
I definitely feel
21.
Like I feel like Steve Buscemi, because I've got like a beanie on and like my skateboard's in the background. Like, hey, Hello, fellow young kids. Let's talk about this MTV show.
Yeah, moving back to the teams, CT and Amber. I mean, if anyone can win with Amber, it's CT. He's won finals, and that's like a huge difference. Historically, when you run an individual or paired final, if you've won a final before, statistically, you are more likely to win again.
They also might. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I was just going to say, and it scares me that, she had such a bad performance with her puzzle today. CT dominates with puzzles. He could totally pick up that slack, and her cardio seems to be impressive. They worry me a little bit. I don't feel like they're going to win, but they worry me.
I think that it might, like now that I think about it now, might be an advantage, the fact that it's Amber's rookie season. It's her very first final, and, and she doesn't know CT that well. She worked pretty well with Darrell, who is like a seasoned vet as CT is. So she might just work really well with CT. It might be a really good contrast of like new kid,
And
popular kid.
She might feel like she needs to be coached like Big T kind of was. Like, whereas that Big T enjoyed that, but sometimes she felt like it was kind of undermining her. I think that Amber B will be like, oh, I love this. This is how Darrell spoke to me. And that might help her case.
It is a bit underrated how fantastic CT is as a partner historically. Because you think of like him and like the rat Adam King on Rivals 1, where they were one of the top teams, and Adam King is a below average player. DM was good, but like, do you think DM Brown was like that much better than someone like, I don't know, Amanda Garcia? Like, was she that much better? No, but whenever she was partnered with CT, they were elite. They were elite together. He got the best out of West. He got the best. I mean, let's not talk about Veronica, but no, But other than that, like Big T, he's killed it with all these different partners, even ones that are below average. He elevates people. He's so good, and he's back in shape to the point where he can, beast it. He can take over. Like, if there's an eating portion, CT's the type that like, hey, I'll eat more food for you.
It's scary because it doesn't feel this way, but he won 2 seasons ago when he was a bigger dude. And it was a team season, but like he got past the purge. He had to do the running. He had to do the lifting. Like, big or small, he's so capable.
He is. And he's aware, like, this is his job. You know what I mean? Like, Anissa seems to be unaware, like, this is her job.
Yeah, it's you just have to have like that experience of like how to win a final. Once you know how to win a final, it becomes easier to win a second final. Corey and Cam, boy, God, I hope they win because they deserve a win. They are just two of the most important figures of the challenge of the last 6 years or so, 5-6 years or so. They should be the favorites, but they're not. I mean, they're beatable. They're definitely beatable because they have weaknesses. What if Corey has to do a swimming portion, and we know Corey isn't a good swimmer? What if he has to do a puzzle? What if Cam has to eat because we know Cam isn't an eater? They're just little weaknesses in their game.
I'm with you. I need them to win. I love both of them. They have contributed, I think, enough of their lives, as you said, in the past 4 or 5 years to MTV and like helping develop a narrative on these shows. And they're good competitors. Like, let alone how much Corey does with MTV through the Teen Mom franchise. But like, they are about MTV. They're about the challenge. They are about actually competing and playing the game. Like, I need them to win. But as Allan said, they're beatable together. If we made this a total solo, final where guys win against guys, girls win against girls, like, Cam's a front runner. Corey's could be a front runner. But together with the other teams, it scares me. I don't want to be scared. I want to have faith, but I'm a little worried.
They have a good chance.
Yeah, I remember on Final Reckoning there was the duo of Shane and Nelson, and on paper, Shane, all of his strengths were Nelson's weaknesses. He was good at puzzles. He was good at swimming. And Shane's weaknesses, he's not good at headbangers. He's not good at eliminations, and that's what Nelson was great at. But then the opposite of that is like, well, what if your weaknesses just bring each other down instead of your strengths making up for one another?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting final in terms of the partnerships that we have for it, especially in comparison to like first episode.
I agree. And I loved that was one twist of the season that I did like, that I don't think we have any of the same pairings from episode 1. And that's been cool to watch. So I guess if I had to rank the teams that we have now, as much as I hate to do this, I'm trying to be realistic and as unbiased as possible. I'm going to have to put first Casey and Fessy. I just feel like they're too strong and have that good of a bond. Second, Cam and Corey. I feel like they're also strong, but maybe their bond's not as much and they have those weaknesses. I'm going to give third to Amber B and CT just because it's like you said, CT has that experience and he's a good partner to have. And then fourth place, Nany and Leroy, just because I feel like they have similar weaknesses that it's going to carry them down. But all those factors that I'm putting in my head right now are interchangeable. I truly don't know. And that's what I'm excited about this final. It could be anybody.
Yeah, I in my head, I'm playing around with the idea that they could switch partners throughout the final. And I know at one point TJ was like, some of you won't even make it past the first stage. And I'm like, what is that? Like, is that a threat? Is that a purge? What do you mean?
And it'd be really interesting if they even had pair switches, like you said, in the final, and the winners were switched from the pairs they have now. We really don't know. So that's very true.
I'm so glad we're finally at the final. If we
I am
get
too.
to the next episode and TJ's like, just kidding.
It's a 2-episode final. No.
Is it?
I don't think it is, by the way. I just said that as like, that would be like prolonged suffering.
It could be. It could very much be. I'm going to end this episode with some facts and stats. CT, this is his 9th final. That ties him with Cara Maria and Johnny Bananas for the most finals ever. Cam, 3 finals in 5 seasons. Just impressive. Corey, 4th final of his challenge career. Only 3 players in challenge history have gone to 4 finals and not won by their 4th final. Leroy, Jen Grijalva, and CT before Rivals 2. Leroy, this is his 5th final. No player in challenge history has ever gone to 5 finals and never won. So one of those 2 guys is joining a group that you don't want to join or creating a list of their own. So yeah, no one's ever gone to 5 finals and never won. Nany, 2nd final. It's been a long time coming. Finally, I mean, I love Nany, but Jesus, you should have more finals at this point. And Casey and Fessy, both their 2nd final each. Good for them. Rookie season. Amber B, 1st final. Good for her. You worked real hard for it, champ.
I hope she's not. Don't put that juju out there.
How's the weather and all that shade? Good job, champ.
I just feel like with who we have, based on those stats and even just what we've seen this season, none of them are layups. I don't think they are. They each have their own strengths. Their weaknesses are maybe Amber B's a layup. I can't believe I'm giving her too much credit. I don't know. I feel like her cardio is good. It just depends on what the final looks like.
I think based on the season, the format, the structure of it, nobody that's in the final is a layup.
Yeah, she just barely breaks the layup boundary. Like, okay, you're not a layup because you hit the minimum qualification, so good for you.
She's an alley-oop.
Yeah. Definitely like a benched player.
All right, and that's our episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Caffeine Confessionals, caffeineconfessionals.com. Follow Nikki on Twitter at the Nikki Sin, me on Twitter at the Allan Aguirre, and just have an awesome day. Have a better day than this episode of the Challenge, and stay tuned for Challenge All-Stars coverage as well. All right.